Manlius, New York, and find their giant behemoth of a brown striped building that's right there for you. I call it the Manlius Welcome Center. So you'll see it there, and you can also head out to their drive-through location on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road, aka Sweetheart Corners. And Sweetheart Corners is right there for you in North Syracuse. So however you connect with Cafe Kubal, make sure you do that today. If you're like Papa Joe and Mary, you can go on to cafekubal.com. That's cafe, Kubal.com. Order that coffee and all of those other favorites and have them sent right to your doorstep. So much appreciation to Cafe Kubal for all that they do here in our community. You are watching and listening to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora worldwide in central and upstate New York and beyond by going to facebook.com, youtube.com, and mixlr.com, all /Wake Up Call DT. I cannot thank you enough for tuning in to the broadcast and being here with us where sports meets that thing called life. Always appreciate having you here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're also able to get us on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and in a secondary place on facebook.com /LiveNowDT. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for being a part of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So a lot of great stuff coming up today, and I am very excited about the conversations we are about to have on this beautiful Thursday morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Can't thank you enough for listening into the show and being a part of it as we get set to bring this broadcast to you with two fantastic people that are joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for what I like to call a couple of Joes, and that's what we're doing. So we got a couple of Joes here this morning in the Cafe Kubal studios. We're going to start the broadcast off inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin' with Papa Joe. As you know, Papa Joe is here with us every single Thursday post from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. So always happy to have PJ here with us where sports meets that thing called life. And at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll be joined by Joe Antonio, who coached the Onondaga Community College, a.k.a. OCC Lazers, for 23 seasons to much success. And just recently, this year, has had the home dugout named after him in honor of all the work that he's done and all of the things that he has brought to our great community of Central and Upstate New York. So a couple of Joes on the broadcast this morning, and very excited to speak with both of them here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So without further ado, I want to welcome in the first of those Joes by having Papa Joe grace the stage here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So PJ, how are you doing here this morning?
Great, Daniel. Great. Hey, we're getting ready to come and see you. So we're excited about that, and we're gonna see you on Monday for lunch around there, I guess 12 or something like that. And we'll spend some time with you before we head over to Tampa and then watch the Rays play the Angels, and hopefully Mike Trout will be playing. So Joe and I are excited about that. But if Trout doesn't play, we get to watch Ohtani. So if you're a baseball fan, it's good to be a Joe today.
Yeah, and it is good to be a Joe today for sure. And of course, Joey, another Joe the third, that'll be traveling with you, my big bro and other meatballs. So very excited for everything we got coming up. Like you said, you're coming out to see me on Monday. So on Monday, August 22nd, we will officially kick off our college and pro football preview week from Hooters, a.k.a. Hooters Week, a.k.a. Live from iDrive. So I'm going to be using all of those in connection to Hooters. We just announced our star-studded, incredible, fantastic lineup of guests that we're going to have at Hooters iDrive of Orlando on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. You will get to see the wonderful, the awesome, the incredible Odyssey Jones. Amari Palmer played for Syracuse, played on the offensive line, had some opportunity in the NFL as well, and has become Odyssey Jones, taking on that name for the WWE NXT. So you're going to get to see a football player / wrestler when you come in on Monday, August 22nd, with so many other people to have lunch with us on Monday, August 22nd at Hooters from noon until 2 p.m. So not only will I get to see you and Joey, but you'll also get to meet Odyssey Jones, one of the wrestlers that is based in Orlando, Florida. which I'm very
Good.
excited to be able to share that with you.
God, that's going to be a lot of fun. Glad to meet him. Or him, whatever.
So Odyssey Jones will be there. Very excited to have that. Like I said, we just announced the entire star-studded lineup. That lineup is on all of our social media, at Wake Up Call DT on Facebook, at Call DT on Twitter, and at Wake Up Call _DT on Instagram. So make sure you check that out. PJ, you spoke about it here for a second. The fact that you are going down a courtesy of Joey getting you some tickets here for your birthday and connecting you with the Rays game down in Tampa when the Angels come to town, because you're a big Mike Trout and Ohtani fan. And so Mike Trout obviously has not been playing. Last season was a season where, baseball fans in general, you feel like you lost something not having Mike Trout. And then this season, you feel like you continue to lose that because you don't have Mike Trout. However, Mike Trout, as of yesterday, was put on the board here that we're looking for him to return to play this Friday, tomorrow, for those of you that are watching and listening live, August 19th. So if and when he does return tomorrow, August 19th, that would mean that he would come back just in time for you to be able to see him on Monday, the 22nd. So if he does, and God willing, he does return tomorrow to baseball, that'll be perfect timing for your tickets that were timed ever so greatly that you'll be able to see him with Joey down in Tampa.
I've been waiting for this for a month, Daniel, 6 weeks. I know the guy, he seems to get hurt a lot. I don't know why that is. He's a big guy. He's 6'3", 225. I mean, how can these big guys get hurt all the time like that? But, he plays kind of reckless. He dives for balls. He tries to jump over fences. He slides heads first into bases. I mean, he leaves it all out on the field, and I love to watch a player like that. So sort of like a Mookie Betts kind of player, except Mookie's smaller. Hey, if he's playing, I'll be honored just to watch him. And if we're going to try to get there, we're going to leave you probably around right after lunch, maybe 1:30, something like that. And we'll get to Tampa and see if we can sneak in to watch some batting practice. That's what I'd like to see, and watch Ohtani go yard a few times. So it's an exciting time for us. And if he doesn't play, well, that's okay. I mean, it'll be fun for Joe and I to be together and go watch a game and get to see you.
Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to that moment and the opportunity to be able to hang out with you and wish you the best on your way to Tampa, Florida, to go out and see this. But this is perfect timing. This is an awesome moment because we have, you have the opportunity to do that. And I believe in God's timing. I don't believe in coincidences. I call them God incidences. And, how fitting is that, PJ, that you've been waiting patiently, and the timing of these tickets to be down in Tampa could perfectly set you up to see Ohtani and Trout together.
No, that's great. God probably played shortstop sometime in the past. So he certainly knows his baseball, and if he could shine his love and graciousness on us to let Mike play, that'd be great. That'd be fun to look. I don't know, maybe play center field. You don't know.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get to see Mike Trout out there, and I'll definitely be paying attention to the game as well. So very much looking forward to seeing you, seeing Joey, and hopefully getting to see Mike Trout in his return tomorrow, and then getting to see him on Monday, because baseball is better when Mike Trout is playing. So there's a few different areas that we can go into today, and I know we have our normal pieces that you say. I do have to tell you that my mother says hello to you this morning, so wants to send you some love and positive energy. So you're getting a hello from Debbie this morning, PJ. I hope you know that and appreciate that. She's sending her love. So
Dobby on the air, I say Dobby.
So PJ here with us. We have, like I said, a bunch of different things to get into with baseball inside of the Cafe Kubal studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And so I want to go first and foremost to the broad scope of this. The excitement of seeing a farm team player rise to the majors. Single A, double A, triple A, get there. Just what you can say. You are a baseball purist. You are a baseball fan. You have loved this game for decades upon decades. Play this game, watch this game, breathe this game. What can you say about the beauty and the art of rising up as a farm team player and seeing some of these players for $6, $10, $20 play a AAA game, or go play, or for less money, go see a AA, single A game, watch these guys come up, and then eventually see them go out there and play in the majors. Just what you like about the farm system and the beauty of the game that we get to see players evolve and expand and end up being right in front of us in a stadium down the road to right underneath the spotlight on some of the wonderful franchises around the country.
Well, it's a tough road to hoe for these kids. A lot of them are drafted out of high school, 18, 19 years old, and they're thrown in rookie league, and if they're any good, they go to A league and AA and AAA, and then the majors. 1% of the players that are ever drafted reach the major leagues. It's like basketball and football, especially basketball. Less than 1% of the kids go play pro. So, it's a dream for these kids. They can say they got drafted. They can say they played pro ball. They don't have to say if they played in the minor leagues, which is the AAAs and the AAs. The kid last night that played for the Mets, what an awesome moment that was for him to go yard with a 2-run homer, and his family was there. How exciting that was. And especially if you're a first-round draft pick, the teams are a little bit more patient than they are with a kid who's maybe a 4th or 5th rounder. You got to work them through the system. Some of these players are so good coming out of high school or college that they don't need the rookie ball or single A. They'll go right to double A. And then if they shine, they're in the minor leagues or they're in the major leagues like Trout was when he was 19 years old. Or there's so many good players wind up in the major leagues that have only played in AA or AAA. So, but it's a long process, and it's disappointing as can be for some of these kids. I've read about some players that are minor leaguers that have played for 8 and 10 years that never make it to the major leagues, but at least they play. The bad thing about it is that, you have to make a living at this, and you have to make a living on the months and the days that you're not playing baseball and being paid a paltry sum that the American and National League paid. It's pitiful what these kids are being paid. These teams make millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They need to uplift it. They need to up their draft system. They need to up the way they pay these kids in the minor leagues. How are you going to expect a kid, even if he's a first-round draft pick, to go play for $2,000 a month, and then you're out of a job, and then you got to go back home and you got to load a truck for another 7 or 8 months or something like that? Not fair. It really pisses me off about the major leagues, is they don't take care of their minor league systems. And if I were there, I would come up with a sliding scale or something. The teams that make the money have a sliding scale of pay the rookie league, A league, a certain amount of money. If the team makes money, then they increase the pay of these kids. If they don't make money, then the pay stays the same. I use that sliding scale of business all the time when I was in the gambling industry. It makes sense. If you make money, the players make money. And you're talking about hundreds of players now. You're not talking about just a major league roster of 23 players, 25 players. You got a couple of hundred, if not more, 300. So you got to take care of these kids. You got to keep their interest going. You got to make them think that, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And if that's the case, I may be able to get to major leagues. And if I can get to the major leagues, I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about it before, and we talked about it when everything was going on here with whether or not we were going to get baseball this season, was the fact that, okay, well, if we don't get Major League Baseball, we'll still get single A, double A, triple A. And we were talking about that, right? And I discussed that with Mark Lukashevitz yesterday, World Series champion, ironically, with the Angels, 2002. And now 20 years later, inducted into the Syracuse Wall of Fame for his time with the Sky Chiefs that are now the Syracuse Mets here in our community, and well deserving of that. So shout out to Mark Lukashevitz again, because he deserves it. But I mean, looking at the conversation of that, right, going through that system and loving baseball, loving the game, being a young kid, right? Some of these guys get drafted 18, 19, they decide to go to college, maybe they go to college, maybe they don't, but they're 18, 19, 20 years old, 21 years old, they come out and they go through the farm system, And people don't know about that, right? The crappy apartments, the bad parts of town, the fact that they're barely getting by. I mean, I talk to people about these situations, guys that try to make it in the majors, guys that try to live and hold on to coming up through the farm system, and what they had to deal with just to play the game. And one of the saddest stories that I had to deal with was last year when I talked to somebody who retired from baseball and gave up the game, gave up the sport that he loved. And his family, some of his family was like, oh, it's time. He needs to. He has a daughter. He has a wife, da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, but you're not looking at the man's face. You're not looking at the fact that he's 30, 31 years old, and this is breaking his heart. And it's what I took away from it. I said, maybe you can't understand this because you're not in the sports world and you're not around these players and you haven't seen them for almost 2 decades of just watching and learning and listening, and maybe you're just not paying attention of it because of the selfishness, but it was so hard for me to watch him let go of the game because I don't think he wanted to. And
that's true.
And you know what I mean? And to make a decision because of money is a decision I never want people to have to make. And in this sport of baseball, it gives and it gives and it gives. But people have to understand that you're not making millions of dollars. You might be playing baseball for a AA, AAA, single A team, and then you're slinging burgers the rest of the week. You might be working as an accountant. You might be picking up trash at an amusement park. I mean, you there's all these other things you have to do in the background just to keep it going and just to keep it rocking and rolling. And to get to the majors, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. To make that money and to have that security for your family is a beautiful thing. But it's so difficult, like threading a needle to do. And you really, really, I don't think people fully understand the thousands of players that have to do another job, 2 other jobs, while playing baseball. And I can tell you this from my perspective, I wanted to do what I love to do for a living, but I was doing other stuff. I worked at a rental car place. I worked at a grocery store. I worked at a theater. I worked at a movie theater. I had these other jobs. And even when I was working at radio stations, I had other jobs that I was doing there. And I couldn't wait for the day where I could let go of them. And I think people need to understand and appreciate, yeah, these guys love the game, but they don't get to just play the game. They have to do jobs they don't necessarily want to do so that they can keep their lights on.
Well, it's true. One area that maybe some of the fans don't understand is how the major leagues draft their players. They're more leaning in recent history. They're leaning toward the college players. Why? Because they're 2 or 3 years older than an 18-year-old freshman in college, or even an 18-year-old rookie. If you're 21, 22 years old and you're leading your team to the College World Series, or you're most valuable player of your conference, the SEC or the ACC or something like that, well, you're going to get noticed and you're going to get drafted early. And those players typically don't have to go through the rookie league or the A league. They'll either start out at AA or AAA, and if you're that good, you'll start hitting and fielding and make your way to the big leagues in a shorter time. But one player, especially if you're the son of a major league player, Guerrero, Bichette, the kids of Biggio from Toronto, all these kids came from Major League Baseball fathers, and they're all in the Hall of Fame. You go to the Kansas City Royals, who I watch quite often. They have a Bobby Witt Jr. If you're a baseball purist, you know that Bobby Witt pitched for several years in the American League, and his son was a very high draft pick, and now he's almost leading his team in batting and hitting, and he's just a rookie. So these kids are a little bit older than the ones that we talked about coming out of high school, but the fact remains is that it's still a long road to hoe. And you're right about the cheap hotel rooms and the bad food and living in a bad part of town. So my hat's off to these kids. I think they got a lot of balls, and I appreciate the reference.
Yeah, and it also brings about one of the hashtags that I used to describe today, which is for the love of the game. You really have to love this game to play this. You know what I mean? And Greg said first-round draft picks get huge bonuses. Again, only the first few rounds. Different story for a player drafted in the 17th round. So, but you got to play for the love of the game, and I think that's the purity that we see and a purity that we appreciate, right? Is that if you're playing, living in a crappy apartment, working another job, just barely getting by, maybe on a franchise that told you they were going to pay you this week and haven't paid you in 2 or 3 weeks, this maybe doesn't have a lot of attendance, and maybe, because not every organization's an upstanding one, to be in a situation like that, you got to play for the love of the game. And
that's right. That's true. That's true.
So let's speak to that side of it. That if you're going through single A, double A, triple A, or any one of these leagues that are around the country, you're playing for the love of the game. You're not playing for the money. You're not playing for the notoriety. You're not playing for the spotlight. A lot of these guys that are playing, they love the game so deeply that they're willing to go to this backwoods stadium where maybe there's 300 fans there in a given night. It's in the middle of nowhere, and they're playing this game that they deeply love, and they're making pennies on the dollar, but they really love the game. And I think that those are the people that I want to see succeed the most, are the ones that love it so much that they're willing to go through the pains of it for the potential opportunity at the end of the line.
Of course. There's a little story that I heard the other day. There was a player that was called up in the minor leagues for Houston, and he was a pitcher and young kid, and he was in shock because he was looking at Justin Verlander, who's on the same team as him, and he didn't know what to say. But once he started talking with Justin, he said, Justin, he said, I used to watch you play when I was a kid, when he was 6 or 7 years old. And of course, the kid is probably 21, 22, and Justin Verlander's 38 or 39. So it makes sense that he came up with Detroit. And if you're a 7 or 8 year old kid, you watch Justin Verlander pitch with the Detroit Tigers. So it's pretty heartwarming. The V-boys are killing it with Houston, though. But when I go over my stats, we'll talk about that later. But it's a great game, and I understand that you and Ralphie went to watch the game too. So good father and son deal there.
Yeah, we actually, so Dad and I went on last Thursday, and we went to go watch with my church. So my church actually had like 60 people come out. Shout out to my church. Big shout out to Pat Lynch, who helped to set it all up. And so we went out to the game, had a nice time, and were able to, watch a really good game, watch a back and forth game that ultimately ended with the Syracuse Mets defeating the Buffalo Bisons it was 6-5. And really, really awesome game. Also cool that Buffalo is now the affiliate to the Toronto Blue Jays, and that used to be the affiliation for a very long time for the Syracuse AAA team. So it was cool to see the Blue Jays come back around and have that connection. But ultimately, yeah, it went in the favor of Syracuse. And then I went to see Syracuse again by myself. I went back on this past Sunday to watch another game, and I had a great time with that. And it was really really a lot of fun to watch that one. God bless you. So so I went there a couple times. I got to tell you, PJ, I'm a kid of MacArthur Stadium. I'm used to MacArthur Stadium and love everything about MacArthur Stadium. The Syracuse Mets NBT Bank, the ballpark now, it looks like a professional ballpark. It looks like a real, like I'm going to see a major league team. I got to give credit to everybody that's worked on it. I got to give credit to the Mets organization. I got to give credit to Jason Smorl and the entire staff over there. Our ballpark in Syracuse, New York, I sat there and I was talking to my dad. I said, I can't get over the fact that this thing is pristine. The grounds are absolutely beautiful, and everything about it would make a baseball fan, even a non-baseball fan, sit there and go, this is a nice place. So, our ballpark is definitely a beautiful, beautiful gem here in Central New York. And yeah, getting out to the game with Dad was great, and seeing him a couple times this past week was really wonderful. I look forward when I come back from Florida week to go see him again, because I know they got some work to do in September. But, I got to tell you, PJ, you and Joey and Miss Mary come up here at a time where we could do something like that. We'll take you out to this ballpark. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and appreciating the beauty of it. We got a nice park here.
That's good. Of course, I think I told you my tale is about when I was a kid, I used to sneak into MacArthur Park, and it certainly doesn't look like it does nowadays. I'm sure it's much nicer now. But we used to ride our bikes from Lincourt down to Solvay to the MacArthur Park, stash our bikes, and sneak in and watch a ball game. Of course, we couldn't buy anything because we didn't have any money. And then we have fun and just pedal our bikes back. So, I used to leave my bikes at Grandma Marie's home, and then we'd ride from there. So, MacArthur Stadium means a lot to me growing up.
Yeah, a beautiful place, and I still remember the fireworks of the last time I was in the stadium. So, big shout out to MacArthur and much love to the history of Syracuse baseball. So, with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, PJ and I will continue the conversation here of the great sport of baseball as PJ does his rundown, as he gives us every single Thursday, to let you know and get you up to speed on what's going on. And, of course, we'll spend some time talking about the Mets and the Yankees and showing some love for Mr. Beatty, who has found his way to the majors. And I just saw him on Sunday, and he got called up right after that, hit a home run immediately. So we'll have a good opportunity to speak about that and so much more here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this fast break, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Thanks for being here with us this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, as always, and God bless to everybody out there. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a great week this week. If you're not, we're going to make it better. And if you are, well, we're going to keep it rocking and rolling because that's what we do here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside of these Cafe Kubal studios, you can go to Cafe Kubal all throughout Central and Upstate New York. And I thank you for everybody that has on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in their drive-thru location in North Syracuse, right by the airport, as well as on their location 343 Fayette Street in Manlius in their double-decker cafe. And in Syracuse, their three locations, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, where we were this week to start off the week with Jack Sikowski, who's heading off to Notre Dame to try to walk on to the Notre Dame football team. What up to Jack? And God bless and Godspeed. And I pray that all your dreams come true and that everything works out for you, brother. And also head out to 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, where they have beer and coffee. So at night, the little night scene, beer on tap, get some food, get some beer, get some coffee, get a latte, have a nice time, and relax and enjoy yourself. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal downtown on 401 South Salina Street. Be it for a date or you're just getting together, some business, hanging out with friends, whatever it may be, you got a nice day scene and night scene at the 401 South Salina Street location, now serving beer on tap with some food there later on, and you could do that toward the weekend. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal on 401 South Salina in Syracuse. So with that being said, a couple of Joes on the show today, Papa Joe and Joe Antonio. I'm about to unleash the beast right now and let Papa Joe go crazy on this one as he always does. So PJ, I'm gonna light the fire here. I'm gonna put the match toward the dynamite and let you go out there and do your thing. So baseball-wise, I know you always give us a rundown of what's going on, so have at it.
Well, I got a few things to talk about today, but yeah. I think we'll just go over the standings to begin with. The Yankees in the American League are up by 10 games over the Rays, and you heard me earlier that the Rays, the first two games of a three-game series, held the Yankees to one run in 18 innings, and last night was a great game. The Rays scored 3 runs in the top of the ninth inning to go ahead, and the Yankees had to get a grand slam from Josh Donaldson in the bottom of the 10th inning to win it. So they didn't get the collar, but they lost 2 games out of the 3 to the Rays, and the Rays are only 10 games behind. But the Rays are in good shape for the wild card. Everyone else is far back. In the Central, the Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Indians, not the Guardians, the Indians, are leading the Minnesota Twins by 1 game and the Chicago White Sox by 2. All of these 3 teams are going to figure into the wild card and or the division title. And look for some good baseball, even though it's not the best, because these teams are actually marginal. They just all happen to be in the same division. You go to the West, you got the Houston Astros. They're far ahead of the Seattle Mariners, but Seattle's in good shape in the wild card standings. Houston is 11 games up, and they're just not going to back up. They're just too good. They got too much pitching, too much hitting, and they're just much the best. Dusty Dusty Baker just does a great job with those guys. Nationally, we got the New York Mets. Your Mets are up by 4.5 over the Atlanta. Both of these teams figure to make the playoffs. I think New York is better than Atlanta, and I think they'll prove that in the series if it happens to go that way. Philadelphia 7.5 game. Everyone else is far back. In the Central Division, my Brewers are 3 games behind the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cubs are far back, so is Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. I got to take a moment to say I'm really, really disappointed in the Brewers this year. I can't get over it. They got a good team. They got good players. They got a most valuable player leading off for them and plays a hell of a center field, Christian Yelich, and they can't win. They're just not good enough to compete with the good teams. St. Louis is a good team. Milwaukee, the last 10 games are 4-6. St. Louis is 7-3. So there you go. They're up by 3 games, and that's the reason why. I'll get to them later on too. The West, you got the Dodgers are up by 17 games over San Diego. San Diego still is in the run for the wild card. Los Angeles has it all going for them. Team pitching, team hitting. It's unbelievable how good they are. Dave Roberts is a great manager, actually. Probably from the old days of Tommy Lasorda, where he knows what he's doing, and he puts the players out there to make a play. One area that I'd like to discuss is the team pitching. And, you heard me preach this before. You win championships with pitching and defense. Pitching and defense. Sure, you hit home runs and you score 10 runs every once in a while. But if you hit pitching and defense right up the middle with catcher, pitcher, center fielder, you're going to be in. You're going to be in. With team pitching, the Houston Astros in the American League have a 3.03 ERA. Now, if you know anything about baseball, anything around 3.0 is fantastic. Unbelievable. The Yankees are at 3.30. The Rays I'm going to throw in there because they have a good pitching staff at 3.43. So when you're looking at teams to take over a playoff, you look at someone like Houston because they're not going to back up. The Yankees, so-so. They got fair pitching. They got good hitting, good fielding, but, hey, they got that pitching and defense. When you go to the National League, the L.A. Dodgers have a 2.87 ERA, and I can't remember any team in recent history at this point of the season it has an ERA under 3 like this. This is unreal. The Mets are at 3.55 ERA, earned run average, that is, folks. And Atlanta 3.62. So you see the difference between the Mets, who is a very good team, leading their division, and the Dodgers are leading by 17 games. So the reason is the Dodgers pitching, but it doesn't end there either. Team batting, Houston's at 243, and that's fair. The Yankees are at 242. The Rays at 237. They're going to win. They're going to win pennants because they have a collection of good players, but they don't hit that well. And Houston is a better team than New York because they pitch better. In the National League, LA leads it with a 259 average. The Mets are at 258, Atlanta 252. So the Mets and the Dodgers are almost even there when it comes to batting. So when you look at it all in a whole scenario there, you look at the best team in the American League as the lowest ERA, the best team in the National League as the lowest ERA, and the best team in the American League has better hitting and better hitting in the National League. Houston, look at the Mets are a good team, Daniel, but they're really going to have to play their best ball if they get that far to beat LA in a series. Boy, LA looks like they can walk all the way to find out who they're going to play, either the Yankees or Houston. I like Houston mainly because of pitching and defense, and I say that because the two V's are taking hold of the pitching of Houston, as Justin Verlander, who is at 39 years old, has a 1.95 ERA and a 15-3 record. The guy's a Cy Young Award winner, and he's going to be probably another one at this late age in his career. It's stupendous, unbelievable. It's so unbelievable that you almost think that the guy's 28 instead of 38. Framber Valdez is second at 2.7 and 2, 12 and 4. So those two V guys, are going to carry Houston in a short playoff, and probably if it goes 7 games, Verlander's probably going to pitch 3 of those games. Now in the National League, the Dodgers got it all over everything. I've told you that. They got 3 players in the top 6 of pitching in the National League. Got Tyler Anderson as a 2.81 ERA, 13-2 record. Tony Gonsolin is 2.212 ERA, 15-1 record. Julio Urias, 2.40 ERA, and a 13-6 record. If you put these three guys on and face a team twice in the series, it's over with. Gone. Done. In LA Walters. There's a lot of talk about most valuable player this time of year. Yeah. And I think when we get down to really get the nitty-gritty and just look at the stats, it would appear to me in the National League, if it's not a pitcher, now it could be Gonsolin, who is 15-1 with a 2.12 ERA. He's certainly eligible to be a Cy Young Award winner and a most valuable player. It doesn't happen very rarely, but it's possible. Paul Goldschmidt, you've heard me whoop on him before. For the Cardinals, and frankly, the Cardinals are where they are because of Nolan Arenado. They just carry the team. Goldschmidt is hitting .331, got 29 homers and 92 RBIs. To me, he's front and center MVP of the league. If it's not a pitcher, now just keep in mind that if these 3 guys from LA keep pitching the way they are for the rest of the year, one of those guys may sneak in and get an MVP and a Cy Young Award winner. The American League, I got Aaron Judge at hitting .297, hitting 46 homers and 101 ribbies. He's an awesome presence at the plate. He's extremely difficult to pitch to. He can get the outside pitches and go to right field. He jacks the inside pitch over to left field wall, or right field wall, left field wall, I should say. And he's very difficult to pitch to. But, you got the reigning MVP, which is Ohtani. And Joe sent me a text last night. He said, Ohtani went yard. So I had to scramble to try to find it. But we had a super thunderstorm last night. But when you have direct TV coming from a satellite, you get knocked out. You don't get anything for a couple of hours. So I couldn't see it. I had to pick up on it later. He had something like four hits and 5 at bats, 4 RBIs, scored a couple of runs. If there's anyone that's going to threaten Judge, it's going to be Ohtani, mainly because he pitches. I think he's 10-6 or 10-7. His ERA is under 3. He's dynamite on the mound. He's dynamite at the plate. Again, if you're a baseball purist, you want to see the pitchers get their Cy Young Award winners, and you want to see the hitters and the fielders get the most valuable players. So it's just a tough call. I like Ohtani, but I think Judge is really the heart and soul of the Yankees, although they got an extremely good hitting team. So, as the most valuable player, I think I'm looking at Goldsmith, who has to really go off the rails not to win it this year, and a Judge to overtake Ohtani in the American League. So there you have it in a nutshell.
Yeah, and a lot of great information, and I appreciate all of that, as always, giving us a rundown and how everything looks. And as these teams get ready to head toward the new postseason, we're hurling into a new wild card format. Now, that wild card format is going to make life interesting here in 2022. That expands the teams from 10 that make the playoffs to 16 of the 30 10 to 12 of the 30 Major League Baseball franchises. So instead of a third, we're getting a little more of a third of the Major League Baseball world. Of those 30 teams, we'll see 12 instead of 10 go forward here. The bracket-style postseason has 12 teams, 6 from the American, 6 from the National League. And we will be able to see them seeded as follows. The number 1 seed in the AL and in the NL, best league record. Number 2 seed, second best division winner. And then we have the number 3 seed, the third best division winner. Number 4 seed will be the best record among wild card teams. Then number 5, second best record among wild card teams. And then third best record among wild card teams will be the 6th overall seed. So 12 teams will be facing off this time around in the postseason. There's no wild card game anymore. There's no single game elimination. It is now a best of 3 series. So wild card series are now here, which I think is more fair, and I think it's better. And as it stands today, if the playoffs were to begin today in the American League, Houston, then the Yankees. Believe it or not, Houston's got a better record than the Yankees. Houston and the Dodgers coming in here late. Houston out of the West, then the Yankees out of the East, and then the Cleveland Guardians / used to be called the Indians, as PJ talked about here, in the Central Division. We would see Cleveland. The wild card teams in the American League would be Seattle, Tampa, and Toronto in that order, meaning that 3 of the 5 teams from the American League East, where the Yankees play, will advance to the playoffs if it started today. Now, still in the hunt and still in the running, the Minnesota Twins, the Baltimore Orioles, believe it or not, are trying to surge back up here. Chicago White Sox, and Boston is 59-59. They got to figure something out. In the National League, if the playoffs started today, out of the West, the Dodgers would lead. They lead everybody with wins this season. They have 81 wins to 35 losses. Insane record. Everybody paying attention to the Yankees while the Dodgers are just saying, yeah, you know what? Pay attention to the East Coast. We'll take care out here in the West. 81-35 right now. The Mets out of the NL East are in second place if the playoffs started today in the National League with a 76-42 record. And out of the Central, the St. Louis Cardinals would be the number 3 seed in the National League. The wild card, the 4, 5, and 6 seeds right now would be Atlanta, Philadelphia, and San Diego. So, just like in the American League East, the National League East would feature 3 teams in the playoffs if they started today. The Milwaukee Brewers, the San Francisco Giants, and Rutrow, even though they are 9 games below 500, my Diamondbacks are still pushing for a shot here. But PJ, what are your thoughts? If the playoffs started today, we would have 3 teams in both East divisions. The National League and the American League East, with the strongest divisions, would each post 3 teams out of 6. They would own 50% of the American League side of the playoffs and 50% of the National League side. What are your thoughts on that? That the East divisions that the Yankees and Mets play in are commanding right now to have a huge part of the postseason.
Well, that's good. Pitching prevails. Seattle is a they don't make a lot of noise. And again, if you don't have what I have, the MLB channels, you're not going to be able to see Seattle that much. Seattle plays good ball, and they're only 1.5. They're 1.5 games up in the wild card. I like that situation. Tampa and Toronto are even with that. So you're right about the American League East with Tampa, Toronto, and New York all vying for the lead. In the National League, Atlanta's 6.5 games up. They're not going to back up. They're in, period. Okay, you got Philadelphia playing decent baseball, only half a game out. San Diego is even though they got my main man Josh Hader from Milwaukee. I still can't get over that trade. Really pissed me off. Anyway, the Brewers are still in it. They're 2 games out in the wild card race, but they got to play. They got to play better than 500 balls to make the playoffs. I love the playoffs, and I love coming at this time of the year. The weeks count off, and the better teams still hang in there. The better players still hit. The better players still pitch. So whoever's gonna make a late run, they better start now. And if they do, they better be able to top the big teams.
Yeah, and this is gonna. I mean, listen. The Dodgers have come up, the Astros have come up beyond what people, want to see because everybody's still mad at Houston. But the Yankees and the Mets are there, and the hope of these teams continuing to push. Now, the Yankees have faltered as of late. The Mets continue to rock and roll. Mets have a better record than the Yankees. The irony of that is the Mets have 3 more wins than the Yankees, and 2 of those wins came against the Yankees in the Subway Series earlier this season. We'll see another Subway Series 2-game stint coming up here, and then maybe we'll see it in the World Series. How realistic is it that we could see the Yankees Mets in the World Series? As you've watched them play now, PJ, do the Yankees and the Mets have enough to get through the gamut of the American and National League?
Boy, that's a tough call, Daniel. That is a real tough call. I don't think the Yankees are the best team in the American League. I believe that's Houston. And I love the Mets, but they're not the best team in baseball in the National League because that's the Los Angeles is the best team, period, in baseball. So if you just crunch it by the numbers, it's Houston and LA. But if you don't crunch it by the numbers and your heart is in it, you want to see the Yankees and the Mets. I'm not saying it's unrealistic. It is realistic to have the Subway Series. It would certainly be a lot of fun, and the TV ratings will go through the roof. New York would be rocking and rolling. You wouldn't be able to scalp a ticket for $1,000 down there if that ever happened. So I'm looking forward to whoever's going to shake down here. Now, it's conceivable that the Yankees could flounder here in the end of the season. Their pitching hasn't held up. Garrett Cole is not the same kind of pitcher he was last year or even a couple years ago when he was at Houston. He's getting hit, and he's getting hit hard. His ERA is over 3. He's got a lot of strikeouts, but, a strikeout is just an out. Whether it's a ground ball or a strikeout, is still an out. It still counts as an out. So I look for the Yankees to they got to pick it up pitching-wise, Daniel. They're not going to make a World Series. And the Mets have got the pitching, certainly with Scherzer. And the Grooms came back. I watched him this last week. Pitched 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, struck out 10. When he's on, he's unhittable. He's like Verlander. And these guys, Scherzer's the same way. These guys know how to get outs. They know what pitches they can count on. Verlander's got probably 5 pitches, and so does the Groom. But the difference between these guys and the other players that are pitching is that they throw almost 100 miles an hour, and that's Verlander in his late 30s. He'll throw fastballs at 95 in the first couple of innings. Here he is in the 7th inning. He's cracking 100. Go figure that out. And the Groom, he hits 100 all the time. So the Groom is tough. He's got a nasty slider that as filthy as can be. Guys flail at it, no way to hit it. So the Mets are in really good position because of their pitching, Daniel. And I like the Mets are the only team in baseball that can actually stay with Los Angeles.
Yeah, and and here's the thing. I mean, LA and Houston and the Mets and the Yankees. I mean, this is going toward a fantastic postseason comparative to other postseasons we've seen in recent history, PJ. Do you think that this postseason is set up to be more exciting, more electrifying? Has this season done more for baseball? I guess is what I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely. This is exciting. And as I mentioned earlier, New York will go crazy if there's a Subway Series. You won't be able to get near the place. The whole police force will be out there just to keep the fans settled down. It's going to be crazy. But they got to earn it. They got to get it, and they have long roads to the hoe. If the Mets continue pitching, they can stay with the pitching with Los Angeles. The Yankees have got to hit their way through Houston, and Houston's got a couple of tough pitchers right there I just mentioned with low ERAs. If you can get to Verlander early, you can probably win the game. But if you let him go on through the innings, he gets tougher as it goes on. It's exciting. Houston is an enigma a little bit because I was really pissed off at what they did several years ago when they tried to rig the World Series with that stupid little game they were playing with trying to call pitches. Unfortunately, the GM and the manager got fired. The manager, what was it, Joey Cora, or Alex Cora, I think. Anyway, he went to Boston. That really set them back a couple of years. But then they bring in an old softy like Dusty Baker, who, he wasn't supposed to handle the young kids any good. The game has passed him by. He's 79. He's 1,000,000 years old. He's too old for the game. Well, guess what? The last couple of years, they've been right on top, and he's got them playing. He knows who he wants to play, and he knows who he wants to pitch. And I'll tell you, if you ever watch Justin Verlander pitch, and he gets in a little bit of a trouble, and Dusty Baker starts walking out of the dugout, Dusty Baker's trying to figure out what he can say to Justin Verlander in those 50 steps that he's got to make to take him out of the ballgame. Because Verlander does not like to come out of the ballgame. And Verlander will look square him in the eyes and say, "I'm okay, Skip." Dusty says, "I'm sorry, Justin. No, we got to bring someone else in." He'll slap the ball in his hand, and he'll storm down to the dugout. So Dusty Baker can handle his team really well, and he can handle Justin Verlander.
Yeah, and and again, this baseball season and everything that we are hurling our way toward is going to be so exciting. and so many great things going on here. So many great pitchers, great hitters, and all of these potential storylines that could happen. I know that if you're not a Houston Astros fan, you're probably not cheering for Houston in any way, shape, or form. There's those teams that you cheer for because you're like, I'm not really a fan of them, but if they win it and my team's not in it, I'm okay with it. I feel like the Houston Astros, it's not that. They're public enemy number one to everybody that's not a Houston Astros fan. And so, that's where we're sitting at right now with this thing. So I don't think people want to necessarily see Houston. I don't know if people want to see LA. I know people want to see the Mets and the Yankees, and I know that would do something for baseball that would be really special and really incredible. And I mean, I think even for fans that are not fans of these teams would love something like that. Very excited for tonight, as Greg pointed out. And you definitely got to watch this game tonight, PJ. It's on ESPN Plus. And ESPN, listen, stop. I respect you. I love you. I've worked with 3 ESPN affiliates. I've worked on ESPN the weekend down in Florida. I got to be real about this, though. This ESPN Plus and ACC Network and and there's a hand and it's paying extra money, an extra buck, an extra few bucks, an extra $5, an extra $10. Stop. Okay, everybody wants to watch the Mets and the Braves tonight, and I don't want to watch it on ESPN Plus. I want to watch it on SNY or something like that, so hopefully it's being carried on other networks. But the Mets are playing the Braves tonight, and Jacob deGrom is going to be on the field, baby. So, I love me some deGrom, and he'll be out there, so I'll be doing my best to watch this game tonight, PJ.
Oh, I got to watch that too. And, I like watching, of course, the Major League Baseball channel that I have. I like watching the teams play, and I like to watch the recording, the announcers from the teams. And I like, if I'm watching the Yankees, here I am. I'm paying for this ability to watch these games.
Yeah.
And if the Yankees come on playing in Boston, okay, I go click on the Yankees broadcast. They got it blocked out. So even on Major League Baseball, after we pay for it, we can't get the game because New York is so strong in their area and their cable is so strong, they blocked it out on DirecTV. So what I do is I simply go to the Boston Red Sox feed and I get the game. So I got to listen to Boston announcers. Big deal. Same thing with Houston. Same thing with the Mets. The Mets aren't near as bad as the Yankees are, though. But if I pull it up tonight and I can't get it, I'm going to have to go to the Braves announcers, which isn't bad. That's okay.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to watch these. If you're in the great state of New York, you should be able to watch Yankees games on MSG and, sport, SNY, whatever for the Mets and whatnot. Should be able to watch these things. PJ, any final notes here? We're going to take a step aside for, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. PJ loves the Wildcat commercial, so we're going to play that for PJ in this fast break. So we're going to take a step aside. We'll come back. PJ will have some final notes on baseball as we have today's broadcast, a wake-up call, fittingly called A Couple of Joes, as I have Papa Joe in hour 1 and Joe Antonio in hour number 2, here where sports meets life inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. We'll be back right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thanks for being with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. PJ loves it. We were there last night. We were at the Wildcat Sports Pub. You know that is our exclusive home for all of our Central and Upstate New York fantasy football leagues. It has been that way for many a year. We've been with the Wildcat for 6 years now. I want to say 6 or 6.5. I can't believe it's been that long. Feels like yesterday that I started working with Danny. So big shout out to Danny, Tome, and the entire team. Shout out to Nikki and to all the staff that were there with us last night. Big thanks to Johnny and Nikki and Delaney and Allie, and everybody out there. Many thanks to each and every single one of you, Andrea as well. So I appreciate you all for all the work that you've done. Shane, so big thanks to everybody out at the Wildcat. We had a great time live drafting last night. We're going to have another draft coming up on Monday, August 29th, right after I get back from Florida Week down at Hooters. And then I'll be there on September 3rd early because that's game day for Syracuse, opening up the season against Louisville inside of the Dome. So a lot of great stuff coming up. When I come back from Hooters Week, we will have a couple more drafts. But last night's draft went off without a hitch. It was absolutely great. I want to thank everybody that was there for it. I want to give Isaac a huge thanks for moral support. Came out to hang out. He's working for Dan Tortora Broadcast Media now, so shout out to my guy Isaac. I want to thank all my fantasy players. A big shout out to Bill, Carissa, who joined the league for the first time, Lisa, who joined the league for the first time, Becky, as well as John T, Johnny, and Aaron, and Joe, and we had a great time drafting last night. You could see the picture on all of our social media, at Wake Up Call DT, at Call DT, and at Wake Up Call _DT. The Wildcat has had an influx of people calling them to have their fantasy football drafts at the Wildcat. So I would love for you to do so as well. We love drafting there. We've made it our fantasy football home. I'm happy that you've made it yours in Central and Upstate New York, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Hearing fantasy football leagues are going to the Wildcat to draft is truly, truly a very proud moment and an exciting moment for me to hear that the community is doing what we've done for so many years and being a part of it. So shout out to the wonderful people in Central and Upstate New York that, like our leagues, think that the Wildcat is the best place to have our fantasy football league. So much love to all of you. Thank you for going out there and for supporting local and supporting CNY. With that being said, PJ and I are here on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT, WakeUpCallDT.com, and on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT. You're listening Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. And PJ has a final word on the minor league system coming up to the majors to bring this full circle this morning. So take it away, PJ.
Well, I think we need to just reinforce about what we talked about earlier in the show. You know, it really is a dream come true for these kids just to get drafted. So if they get drafted by the Yankees and they're in rookie ball, they're making $1,500 a month and starving to death. But, you know, they got drafted and they're playing ball. You know, it's important for the fans to understand how difficult this is for a player. Of course it is for the families of the player because they're the one that's got to help to support themselves. But if you're in a minor league city, go watch your minor league team play and try to remember what we talk about here. These kids don't make a lot of money, and there are some lifers that go 30 years old and still in the minor league. So go watch them play. It's great baseball, and it's it's just fun to be around. It's a great night out, and you don't have to get killed over the fence, with paying $500 like you do with Milwaukee. The roster sizes for the end of the season usually increases. It used to be 40. I don't know what it is now, but it gives the teams a chance to look at some of these hotshot players that are coming up through the minor leagues. They can be called to the major leagues, and it's called being up for a cup of coffee, and maybe you sent back down again. But at least there's a round robin of players that teams can look at to see where they stand for next year, or maybe their trade bait. So it's a good chance. It's a good time for all these players to be noticed for their minor league efforts and for the very small, short time that they're with the major leagues.
Yeah, and to go to a story that really hit home for me. Good friend of mine, Debbie, and Debbie Edmondson, want to show her some love. She's down in Texas, and she said, she saw that I was at the Mets game because I posted on social media my picture, and she wrote back to me. She said, "Hey, give Brett Beatty some love. Send him some love from us because he's a family friend." And so here's Brett Beatty, and of anybody on the team, she sends me that and says, "Hey, make sure that you support and cheer him on." And so I go out to the Syracuse Mets. I see him play on Sunday. I remember her message to me. He gets called up a few days later and hits a home run for the New York Mets. So, I mean, this beautiful story and the beauty of the game hit home for me with a friend saying, "Hey, check out this player. Send him our love. He's a family friend." Then I see his name pop up on the screen, and I go, "Oh, there he is." So now I'm paying attention. And then he goes yard for the New York Mets shortly after I saw him right here in my hometown of Syracuse. So, it can happen. Dreams do happen. And something that's right in front of your face today can balloon into something amazing. So it really brings home, appreciate every moment. Always be ready so you don't have to get ready. And give it all you got every time you got, and understand that today is the only day you have. So if Brett doesn't embody that, then I don't know what does, because here he is in front of me walking up to the plate in Syracuse. And then the New York Mets said, "We think you're good enough to come up and hang out with us for a minute." And he hits a home run, and that's his debut. So, it can happen. It does happen. And I think it just, makes you want to appreciate it that much more. People show out for Jacob deGrom, and that's great because he had already showed himself in the majors and then had to come back through the farm system. But there's guys going through the farm system right now that you get to see, and like I used to do as a kid, collect their cards. I saw Cecil Fielder come through. I saw Deion Sanders come through. I saw a bunch of these guys. Talk about Roy Halladay as well, and Mark Lukashevitz, who won a World Series with the Angels, played for the Sky Chiefs at the time that are now the Mets for 4 years. So you never know who's going to come through your ballpark. You never know who's going to cross paths in your life. And it should only tell you, well, I mean, I shouldn't say only, but it should definitely tell you these things. Appreciate the moment. Never take things for granted. Like I said, always be ready so you don't have to get ready. Pay attention and appreciate what you got. Because these moments when Brett crossed my path, and then a few days later, the world is watching him play for the New York Mets. So it can happen. It does happen. And I think it just reminds us, Papa Joe, that we really need to appreciate the moments that we got, make the most of the moments we got, and understand that somebody is always watching what you're doing.
All right. I like that.
So that coming from Papa Joe, hanging out here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. As always, PJ, nothing but love for you. I will see you in less than a week. I'll see you on Monday. PJ and Meatball number 1 will be out, and I can't wait for the opportunity to hang out with you guys. We will start off Hooters Week with Odyssey Jones. You know him as Omari Palmer for Syracuse football. Odyssey Jones of the WWE will be joining me to kick off college and pro football preview week from Hooters iDrive on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida. And Odyssey Jones will be there with me from noon until 2 p.m. at Hooters. Come out and see us on iDrive, minutes from Universal, SeaWorld, and Walt Disney World. And if you come see me in Odyssey, you also get to see PJ and Joey. So a lot of great stuff, family in the building, and I can't think of a better way to kick off football season and kick off my Hooters week than being around my family and the people that I love so very much. So I'm excited to see you, and I can't wait.
Okay, we'll see you Monday.
Sounds good. That coming from
Okay,
PJ.
thanks.
Take care. That coming from PJ here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And many thanks to Papa Joe and all, and to Joey and to Mary and the whole family for all that they do to make life really wonderful. I can't thank you guys enough for the love that you give, because you don't have to, and the time that you give, because you don't have to. So I very much love my family, and I love the fact that we get to do what we do, and we get to share these moments together, and we get to share them with the world. I was having these conversations with Papa Joe at the kitchen table, and I said, why not share them with everybody? Everyone should hear this, because he's incredibly intelligent, he's incredibly passionate, and he's a good man. And I wanted not just me, I don't believe in hoarding things for yourself. I believe in sharing them with the world, right? And, obviously, people have privacy and whatnot, but you know what I mean. Sharing things with the world and being able to put that out there. So I'm just thankful for the family that I have, and I'm thankful for the wonderful love that we get to share, and the fact that we get to do this thing called life together, to know that you're never alone. So Joey said, PJ, Meatball going to see Trout. Can't wait to see you, bro. Same to you, brother. And Greg said, is PJ WWE fan? I don't know if he is. Joey may be. And so, PJ like WWF. I'm an old WWF fan. I've, opened myself up to the world of today's WWE and WWE NXT and all that, and AEW. But back in the day, I was a Jake the Snake fan. Like, I was a big Jake the Snake fan. And I love Jake the Snake. So, huge fan of that. I know people are going to ask, did I watch the documentary? I have not yet. Yes, I will. Why didn't I watch it? Because I haven't, because I'm busy. But I will. But, I love Jake the Snake. Huge Jake the Snake fan. My dad's father, my Pop Miller, he was the wrestling fan. And so he would turn on wrestling for me. So I grew up I had a Hulk Hogan action figure. So I grew up with Hulk Hogan, Jake the Snake, $1 Million Man, all that good stuff. So a lot of good, Sergeant Slaughter, who hit on my mom, ill gross, but he did. So yeah, Jake the Snake is, that's my dude for life. Love Jake the Snake. I would love to interview Jake the Snake. I know people ask me, who would you interview that you haven't yet? And I don't know why I don't answer that. Jake the Snake would be one of my answers. So for sure. So I guess I got to answer it that way the next time I get asked. So speaking of conversations, we're going to have another one when we take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Today's broadcast is a couple of Joes, and including Joey, we got a trifecta of Joes. So Papa Joe, Joey on the line, and we're going to have Joey Antonio right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a local legend for baseball in Central and Upstate New York. We'll be joining the broadcast right after this fast break. Joey said, I have a picture of me and Jake the Snake when I was a kid. Oh, man, you got to meet Jake the Snake? That's fantastic, Joey. I would love to meet Jake the Snake. So let's take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back momentarily here where sports meets that thing called life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And once we come back, we will obviously be sharing with you a lot of great stuff coming up here with Joe Antonio in our Couple of Joes broadcast today from the Cafe Kubal Studios, which is filling because you fill your cup of Joe and you got a couple of Joes. So fill your cup of Joe this morning with Cafe Kubal while you listen to a Couple of Joes on Wake Up Call. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us, they listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, where sports meets that thing called life. Always happy to be here with you. Cafe Kubal, like I said this morning, is a couple of Joes, and you fill up that cup of Joe from Cafe Kubal. 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. You can also find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road right by the airport for their drive-through location in North Syracuse. And if you're out of town, go to cafekubal.com and have it sent right to you. That's cafe, Kubal.com. Couple of Joes this morning. You heard from Papa Joe in Hour 1. Hour 2 is dedicated to Joe Antonio. Joe Antonio has brought so much to our community, and I was talking with him off the air here for a minute, and cannot thank him enough for what he has done. If you don't know the history, I'll give you a little background here, and of course we'll discuss it here today. But welcoming Joe Antonio, coached the OCC Lazers baseball team for 23 seasons, and of those 23, went to the postseason 19 times. Just an incredible accomplishment. 421 and 251 win-loss record. went to the postseason in 19 of those 23 seasons, as I stated. 8 Region 3 championships, 1 Northeast District championship, and 1 NJCAA World Series appearance. And this year, the home dugout at OCC named after Mr. Joe Antonio. So it is my great pleasure and my great honor to welcome who I consider a local legend to the broadcast, Joe Antonio. Joe, how are you?
Good, Dan. Again, thank you for inviting me here on your show. It's a pleasure.
You know, and Joe, I already got messages coming in when I posted that you were going to be on the show. A lot of love and a lot of support. Messages this morning from Annette. I'm watching you, Joe. Love you and proud of you. Marianne said that she's watching here as well. And just a lot of incredible support around the community and beyond. As soon as I put something up, seeing people reach out. What does it mean to you that after all these years and everything that you tried to do for baseball and for this community, that people still reach out to you and still support and show you love?
It's very humbling for sure because you know, I did it for the game, for the fun of the game and the love of the game, and that was part of what the good Lord put me on this earth for, to teach and mentor and coach, and it's certainly a great feeling of love for people to continue to remember what has been going on here in this community for all these years. Actually, in 1972, I started my career at Henniker High School. So it's you know, it's 50 years later, and I'm still getting that the communication from people, players, coaches, and so forth. It's a lot of fun.
And when you started your career at Henniker, bring me into that. I mean, well, let's go back to the beginning of the beginning. Why baseball? Why did you fall in love with the sport? Where did your passion for baseball come from?
Well, I only played it for a while when I was 13, 14 years old, Babe Ruth. But when I continued playing baseball, I tried out at Oswego State. I got hurt, and I knew, of course, I was at Oswego State for a reason. That was to be a teacher. And I enjoyed the fact that, it means so much to me, so that I wanted to get back into it. Well, when I graduated from Oswego State in January of 72, I get a call from Charlie Wink, the then athletic director at Henniker, asking me to take over the program. And I went in and I got the job. So I was interested in knowing that people still knew, because I had coached a lot of those Henniker boys in the summertime with the junior chiefs and so forth. So, you know, the background there goes way back, and they definitely enjoyed the fact that they were able to continue their baseball careers, and some of them played professional ball, like Joey Steathers. So we're very happy that, you know, I got that opportunity in 1972.
And so, I mean, you have that, and you start your career, and you talked about, you know, being a teenager. Who was your favorite player or players growing up? Like, who were the ones that made you just glued to everything?
Mickey Mantle,
Okay.
Roger Maris. Mickey Mantle's number one. I mean, collecting cards and so forth, and as we all lost our cards some way, somehow, I can remember putting Mickey Mantle on the spokes of my bike, and now I'm thinking, that was the craziest thing to do. That card is worth a lot of money today.
Yeah, you know, and you said Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris, but Mickey Mantle first. My uncle gave me my Uncle Bill, who just passed recently, and God bless him in heaven, truly a fighter. He gave me Mickey Mantle's final card, and I still remember that, and I have it, and it's funny how you lose things in life, but this thing always shows up. And when I moved from place to place and moved into my house, and when I was always like, where's that card? I got to find that card. And then you'd open up the dresser and it was in the top drawer. And now it's when you walk into my house in the conversation room, it's there. It always finds a way to like find itself and show itself to me. And, you know, and I always think of Uncle Bill when I see it, but there's nothing like, looking at that Mickey Mantle card with him looking up. It's almost like it was a card where it almost looked like he was saying, I've done everything and now I'm ready to go home. And
Absolutely.
so, I mean, I would love to hear a story or two of why Mickey Mantle for you.
Well, as you remember, the Chiefs, as I said, and the Yankees were partners, and of course the Chiefs being the minor league team, and the Yankees being the parent club. Well, my dad, you remember my dad, Lenny, was a Syracuse police officer, and of course I had the privilege every year when the Yankees came to town to go right on the field, and then as the old clubhouse was back in right field, and I would be waiting there with my camera. Camera buff I am, and that was my
Right
major
field.
background was communications.
And
I would be, but and seeing Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, Joe Pepitone, Yogi Berra, Bobby Rich, all these guys coming out of their locker room and taking pictures of them, and I still have slides of them somewhere down in the basement. But that it meant so much to a local community to have the major league team playing here in Syracuse. It's too bad they can't continue that time. But of course, it became a tough situation for the parent club, especially in a big during the course of the major league season.
Yeah, and knowing that the history of this Syracuse AAA franchise, that there was a connection to the Yankees, a connection to the Blue Jays, connection to the Nationals. What are your thoughts on the fact that they're connected to the Mets now? I mean, this is a city that knows orange and blue because of Syracuse. I always said it made perfect sense, but it had never happened. So what are your thoughts about the Mets being the parent club for Syracuse now, and that we get to see these Syracuse Mets head off to the New York Mets?
I love it, mainly because, and of course, the Mets, the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets have always been my favorite National League teams. And what's drawn me closer to the Mets is in 1980, when I was still managing the Syracuse Junior Chiefs, I get a call from Fred Wilpon. Fred Wilpon, the then owner of the New York Mets. His son, Jeff Wilpon, needed a place to play out of college. Well, he was still in college, but he needed a place for the summer. And he called our office and asked if we had a spot for him. And I said, absolutely, we can always use another catcher. And he wanted to play in, there we got, Jeff Wilpon, owner's son, on the Syracuse Junior Chiefs here in Syracuse, playing on weekends with our club. And it was just a great responsibility to be able to help Jeff, along those lines. And I became very close friends with Jeff over the years. I miss, talking to him in emails and talking to Fred. And great people, great owners, and that became a very special thing for me. And it still is. But I remember going to the World Series game, the last World Series that they were in, and talking with Jeff and Fred. Great experience. It really is.
Joe Antonio here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside a couple of Joes, OCC Lazers baseball head coach for 23 years. This year, you were given recognition with your name now residing on the OCC home base dugout. Bring me into that ceremony and how it all came about, that phone call. I would love for us to be in the room with you if you can take us back to the moment where OCC said, hey, thank you for everything you've done. This is what we want to do for you.
A great humbling experience with Onondaga Community College. I'm home. I get a letter from the president, that Dr. Casey Grable, and the board of trustees welcoming me to the event that they wanted to hold for me at the dugout itself, and it was a great experience. They, of course, we had 2 years off. I felt like Jeter. Jeter had 2 years off from COVID before he was actually at the the ceremonies in Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame. But anyways, and at that point, there was a lot of planning going on. Mark Sherlock, one of my first players, my 1978 first team, basically worked with Stephanie and with Mike Boers in a college, and Dr. Casey Grable, and they put this thing together, and it was a great experience. We in April of this year, we had, it was just such a great outing at the college and at the facility. It makes me like the picture I sent you of myself kissing home plate, because we never had a place of our own. And to be honored with that dugout dedication meant so much to me. It really did. I absolutely loved the opportunity to do what I could for the college. I'm an alumni there. I graduated there in 1969. So my feelings at that point were very emotional, and I loved every minute. We had 75 to 80 people that came to visit. We had live stream, another 75, 80 people on live stream. The college was so good to me, and I really, really appreciated everything they did for me during that ceremony.
Now, I mean, and you said it. You said you kissed home plate because when you were there at OCC, you never had a home. What does it mean to you now that the future of OCC does have a home?
I am astounded that, I'm hoping and praying that the program can get stronger and bringing in the athletes, bringing the championship years back. Those are memories. I went to several games this year. It was awesome at the end of the ceremony that we had a ball game to watch. We had our hot dogs and so forth there, and cake, and we just sit there and watch a ball game with close friends and college friends. And it makes me feel good, because think about this. Our home field at that time was Griffin Field, which is no longer there. And it took 35 years, as I started the program as a club team in 77, went intercollegiate in 78. It took all those years to have a place on campus to say, we have a home. We didn't have a home. I mean, we practiced, you name it, Valley Little League Field, Meacham Field. It just became a team without a home. And it makes me so proud and happy to not only have the opportunity to see this facility. I know my dad always said, geez, Joe, when are they going to do something for you? And of course, my dad passed away and my mom passed away. But, the bottom line is, they saw everything in a greater retrospect from above. And, that made me feel so important to Onondaga Community College and the community, because I know I've done what I could to promote baseball. Not only high school and college at OCC, but also summer collegiate with the Syracuse Junior Chiefs. As you remember, that was another major program that we started in 1975.
Here with Joe Antonio, spent many years with the OCC Lazers as their head coach for baseball, 23 seasons, and now the OCC home base baseball dugout is named after Joe. And Joe, like you said, you kiss home plate, you never had a home, you got a home now. How beautiful, ironic, and kind of full circle, incredibly amazing is it that you put all these blood, sweat, and tears in, you're the coaching this team, and you don't have a home. And then now, after all these years, that they do have a home and that OCC has a place to call their own, that they come back to you and say, to the coach who put us where you put us and did everything you could, now we want you to come home and we want to put your name right here on this dugout. How full circle, kind of almost movie-like is that story?
Yes, and as Mark Sherlock had said in his introduction, he says, "Build it, Joe, they will come." Build it, Joe, they will come. As you remember the important those words that were used in the Field of Dreams, and Danny, that's my Field of Dreams. When I kissed that home plate, that was the very first time on that field in the spring of 2014, and I just. It's so rewarding. I just want to see the program flourish. I want to see, these kids get that opportunity. They all came and thanked me on the field. The 2022 team, including Bobby Pirano and Pete Birmingham, the coaches and the players, they all thanked me, and it made me feel warm inside. It means a lot to me because I know, what I've given, but now I'm receiving. And, like I said before, it was my Field of Dreams. I never would have suspected, Danny, never. I mean, I wasn't thinking stadium back then. I was thinking, okay, we're going to have our own field. We'll have dugouts and, a nice ball field and a fence around it. And, wasn't even thinking about lights. And after all the communication and all the phone calls and letters, and with Dr. Debbie Saito, who was the president at that time, contacting Bobby Antonacci, contacting the legislators, and just continued interviewing and talking to these people and say, we do need a lighted field or a field on campus. And it took that much time to convince. We had money at the state level, and then we had money we had to get the approval of the money at the local level, the legislator. Being at that meeting with the then athletic director, Rob Edson, as you remember, passed away unexpectedly, was the athletic director, sitting there in the legislator's offices waiting for the vote to count. The first time I got turned down, I went back in and renegotiated pricing, and by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they said, we're going through with it. And lo and behold, a stadium, the best facility, as far as I'm concerned, in upstate New York, bar none. There's a lot of coaches say, geez, congratulations, coach, we wish we could have played there when you were coaching there. I said, well, it finally happened.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of my closest friends, and one of my dearest friends, somebody that was there for me all the time, and I'll never forget the last time I went to his office, and we talked for a couple hours. And he said to me, gave me a hug. He always gave me a hug. And he came out from behind his desk and he gave me a big hug. And I could just feel his warmth. I could feel true, honesty and love and just this care and concern. And he could always make me feel better. And that's Rob Edson.
Rob Edson.
I'd love for you to give us a few words on how you feel about Rob Edson.
Oh, Rob Edson, salt of the earth, just an unbelievable man. He said to me, Joe, he says, everything. I mean, he could be talking to somebody else, and all of a sudden it's, hey, Joe, I want to talk to you a minute, and he pulled me aside. And this happened a couple days before he passed, and he would always find time to talk to people, warm. I met his wife and his kids, and I felt so bad for them. But I'll tell you what, you couldn't ask for a better athletic director. You couldn't ask for a person who loved not only lacrosse but baseball and softball. Of course, as that's what an athletic director job is, to promote and to keep those activities and sports at high on their mark. But I'm very, very, I miss Rob. I do. I miss Rob a lot. I have. And when I heard about what had happened, it hurts me deep inside. And he was a great tribute to Syracuse University athletics. And that's why he became the athletic director at Onondaga, because he was the man who could run a show. And he's truly missed, Danny.
Yeah, and I love and I appreciate, Joe, you sharing those words about Rob. 44 years old, way too early to see, and I don't think there ever would have been a good time, right? Because of the type of human being that he is. How do you see his legacy live on at OCC? Because he left Syracuse University to become the director of athletics at OCC. He had huge plans at that time when he was there. He was looking at changing the logo, and he wanted to implement so much and push so much. And him and I were looking at working on stuff as well. How do you still see Rob and feel Rob when you go up to OCC?
Well, if you go into the P building part where the YMCA is, you'll see a huge mural of Rob. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but that was dedicated. That was part of the dedication to him and his wife and his kids. It was a great experience, and there's a great feeling in that hallway of love and affection. He did have all that in back of his mind and what he wanted to do. He's communicated to me who wanted to help me get back involved at the college. And I told him, I said, I'm available to you and to the college anytime you need me, and I will do all I can. And but you mentioned logo. Well, back then, our real name is Onondaga Community College Braves. And our uniforms we had to get permission from Major League Baseball, and especially Ted Turner at the time, to order the same uniforms that the Atlanta Braves had. So, with that said, we did, and you'll probably see some of the pictures, and I'll be glad to send some to you, with the Braves logo on the front, with the feather on the sleeve, the same ones that Henry Aaron wore. And basically, we I've donated a couple of them. I wish I could find the rest of them on campus. I don't know where they are. I've asked the administration to look into it. Last time I saw them, they were in cabinets up there. But I would love to see the Braves name being brought back. But, of course, that probably won't happen now. But there's nothing wrong with the word Braves. That's an honorable name. But I know Rob wanted to make some changes, and God rest his soul, great man, great person, great family. And when they honored him at Syracuse University, met up with his wife again and the kids, and it was a great experience there. But you can't beat a person like that.
No, not at all. And Rob's spirit lives on forever, and in the people whose lives he touched, which are many, you carry on that goodness, right? That heart, that treating everyone as an individual, and not grouping people, not being bitter if something bad happens to you, but to give everybody the opportunity to show who they are. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the kind of person he was. Like I say, you could be talking 5 feet away from him, and he'll recognize you and say, geez, Joe, hey, come on over, stop over here a minute, I want to talk to you, and just, like I say, give you a hug, and that means a lot to people. I don't care, with the media and everything that's going on now with the different things that happen in this world. What's been lost is the love. Our Lord knows that, love is, he always said it, love is what we want for people, and that's what I feel whenever I go to a ball game or whenever I go to an event, the love of people, and the people who came out to visit at the ceremonies. We all want to be loved. There's no question about that. It's very, very important that people need to spend more time thinking about that.
Yeah, I agree 1 billion infinity % on that one. Everybody wants to be loved. We're not as different as people want to tell you that we are. OCC Lazers baseball head coach, 23 years, a name now residing on the OCC home baseball dugout. Joe Antonio here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Joe, I got to ask you this. Your nephew here, Mr. Joe Russell, said he wants me to ask about the A-Train nickname.
Well, when, in 1987, the year we went to, don't forget now, we were Division One. The NJCAA now has 3 divisions. I should say now, it's been that way since I left. Division 1, 2, and 3. Well, at that time, in the 80s, of course, we had won from 1984 to 1994, 8 championships in that 10-year span with 2 runners-up. Well, in 1987, we had a group of kids who, including Mike Lang and a few other players that we had, and Mark Harbaugh, and 5 players from the Auburn State Championships. We had Jimmy Tortorello, Mike Jedra. Well, when we had those kids, these kids would not give up. They were actually the freshmen. They were the young kids coming through the system in 1987, and they would say, "We're going to take you to the World Series, Coach. We're going to take you to the World Series." And remember now, the World Series back then was you win the region, which is upstate New York. Then you got to go to the district championships, which is a Northeast title of the teams, and then you go to Grand Junction, Colorado, for the Division I World Series. Bottom line is, we kept on winning. Now, in 1987, in the region championship, this A-Train started thing. We lose the opening game. Kelly Dwyer came down. He got a allergy, so our starting pitcher right off the bat, was knocked out. So we wound up losing the first game. That means, in a 3-team double elimination tournament, it means, your backs are against the wall now. We then had a play later on that day, Broome, and Broome already got beaten by Monroe, so it was 2 losses and Broome is out. So now it's OCC and Monroe Community College, our rivals, our great rivals. We've had some great games with them. Anyways, so now, we had to beat Monroe Community on the same day. We had to beat Monroe Community College twice. Well, how many teams do you know of, Danny, that have played 3 9-inning games in one day? That's 27 innings.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. We knock off Broome. Okay. Now we're playing Monroe. We got to win twice. And we started at 10 o'clock in the morning. We got it done at 11 o'clock at night at Griffin Field. And we wound up pulling that championship off. Right then and there, I knew that this team was special. Now we go on to and of course, this train is running. All right, we won the region. We came back from behind, and now we're going to the district championships in Long Island and Rhode Island. I'm sorry, and we're playing another 3-team double elimination, and we're playing the best of the best in downstate in that area. Well, we pull that series off and win that, and now at 2 o'clock in the morning we're playing in the Syracuse, and Joe Antonio has to be at my real job. I said my real job is East Syracuse Central Schools District on a Monday morning, and start my teaching job, and it was that unbelievable force, Mark Harbaugh especially, who and the very first play of the game, in the championship game, he's sliding into first base, and he hits the base and he shakes his hand a little bit and continues to play. And at the end of the game, he goes, Coach, he says, I need to go to the hospital. His dad took him to the hospital. And next day, as I said, I'm back in school. He comes to ESM Middle School, and he says, Coach, he said, I got good news and bad news. and don't forget now, Mark's my shortstop, okay? And he says, the good news is I'm going to be able to continue to play. He said, the bad news is the fracture of his thumb, his glove hand, his left hand. And I said, how are you going to play? He says, I've got a couple trainers. And he says, they made 2 braces. And they did. They made 2 braces. One brace so he can put his hand in his glove. The other brace is so that we can hold a bat. And it's amazing, Danny, that this young man, okay, and you're talking about, you see all these injuries now in Major League Baseball, especially the Yankees. You know, this guy played the rest of the game in the district championship and played with braces in the World Series.
Yeah.
You got to give credit to young men who do that kind of stuff. Mickey Mantle, why my hero? All those years playing injured. What a difference. What a difference today, you know? I hate to say it, but, there's a lot of guys, and I got to give DJ LeMahieu a lot of credit. You know, he's playing through this thing. There aren't too many players who'll do that, unfortunately. But that's what the A train was all about. We just kept on winning and winning and winning, and that's what it all started with. And Joe was my bat boy in Grand Junction, Colorado. I got a picture of that. I'll have to get you a copy of it.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, and getting to go to the NJCAA World Series, I mean, bring me into that. I mean, that moment in history to be a place, to be in that place, to make it to the end, to have an opportunity at a national championship.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Danny, it was just, I remember Jack Morris, God rest his soul, what a great guy. Jack coming to our practice, and we're having a good time at practice, and the guys are working hard. And I sat down with Jack, and he says, what the same question you just asked. And I said, this means so much to these young men. It means so much to this program. It means so much to this community. It means so much to me, and the families who followed along from day one. And to play, I mean, a 10-team tournament in Grand Junction, Colorado, against the teams like San Jacinto, Texas. These clubs had 30 to 35 kids on the team. We had 26 players on the team. It meant so much to me, and the feeling of being in Grand Junction, Colorado, and the feeling of my players, and watching my players sign autographs to the kids, because basically that whole town in Grand Junction shuts down for the whole week. and of course I'm talking schools and everything, and they're able to come out and watch the games. And the kids are able to watch the games. My kids had so much fun. Right from the beginning. I mean, my players being dressed up in their sport coats and suits and so forth, and on the plane and taking the trip to Denver, and then from Denver down to Grand Junction, Colorado, on a bus, and talking about loss of oxygen, no question about that, because we stopped at a couple places to eat on the way down, and as we're walking up, for example, a Pizza Hut. You can ask Joe about the Pizza Hut deal.
Okay.
The oxygen level, because we had to walk up to the Pizza Hut happened to sit up on top of a hill a little bit, so the bus can only drive so far up, and by the time you walk up to the top, you felt the oxygen leave your body. But ask Joe about that. But it's just a great experience going through they call it the mini Grand Canyon. The host team took us on a trip through the canyon down there, and it's just playing the games and experiencing the thrills, and what a great feeling it was. Again, Danny, for me and the players and the program, what a great experience. And I said, you're playing some good baseball. We lost to a team out of Michigan the last game. In the 12th inning, we played an extra inning ball game, and it was a hard-fought battle. The opening game, believe it or not, in the tournament was Morris Community College. Now, Morris County Community College in Jersey, Lee Lee Saris was the head coach at that time, and Lee is he's a scout now for Cincinnati. But he calls me. We played them every fall. We went down every fall. What we did is we pack up a couple vans of players and drive down on a Friday and watch a Yankee game if the Yankees are home, or a Mets game if the Mets are home. Matter of fact, Will Ponigan would give me tickets. And we get there, watch a ball game. Then we would play 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and come home. Well, Lee Saris gives me a call. We won the region championship up here in Syracuse in back in May, and he called me up on the phone and says, "Hey, Joe," he says, "how would you like to play a ball game earlier this year?" I said, "What do you mean earlier?" I said, I'm going to the World Series. He goes, "So are we." And guess what? We open up against each other in Grand Junction, Colorado. Unbelievable that was. So, and of course, we took our lumps a little bit, but we Kelly Dwyer had a couple problems with his arm and so forth. But it was just a great experience all the way around, and to play against these kind of teams was a great program booster for Onondaga Community College.
Yeah, and I mean, to do all this, to have all this history and everything that you've gotten to do, to go back to these moments, and Joe is listening in right now. He said the trip was incredible, and he said Starships, Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now was the theme song. So
that was our team theme song. Yep, it was. And when it came out on the airplane, all the players they were so excited to hear that. It was a great experience for everybody included, no question.
Joe Antonio here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we celebrate the OCC Lazers home dugout being named after him this year with that honor after 23 years of serving as the team's head coach. Joe, before I let you go, and I mean, this is barely scratching the surface. I hope you'll allow me to have you back sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Here.
Love to.
I got to ask you about this year's Major League Baseball. Started off the season with players and owners fighting over millions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Worried that we weren't going to have a season. It ends up starting just exactly a week late, believe it or not, which is a beautiful thing, that we didn't lose too much. We're now in a place where the Yankees and the Mets have an opportunity in the playoffs, an opportunity, people hoping for a Subway Series. Houston's got something to say about that. The Dodgers got something to say about that. The Indians, the Cardinals, there's a lot of teams coming up. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, the American League East and the National League East, the 2 East divisions, would account for 50% of each side, 50% of the AL and 50% of the NL, if they started today with their divisional leaders and 2 out of 3 wildcard spots going to them. We would have the Phillies, the Braves, and the Mets on the National League side. And the American side, we'd have the Blue Jays, the Rays, and we would have the Yankees. So what are your thoughts on the current state of the postseason, and could we potentially, in your mind, truly see a Subway World Series?
I would love to see a Subway World Series. And I'll tell you, I would be there. I don't care what the price of the tickets would be, but I would definitely be there. There's no question about that. Danny, we were at, matter of fact, Jason and I were at the 2009, the last World Series. It's been a long drought for the Yankees, but I'm so happy that the Major League Baseball and the Players Union was able to come to some consensus, especially about the playoff format. The one-game elimination, the wild card thing was obviously crazy. Yes, we are gifted, and we're very happy that that baseball was able to start a little bit late. But what bothers me overall is just the greed. It boils down to looking at what's been happening since the open checkbook policy with Bowie Kuhn. Of course, Reggie Jackson being one of them. I just feel that Major League Baseball allowed the players' union to get so strong and viable that there's no way that, there's going to be a strong problem every year if they decide to negotiate, because, they've just become so strong. And you, me, all the baseball fans are, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. The fans are going to lose if this continues. They really need to think about the fans. And again, we use that word love, but the fans are the ones that are paying the salaries. The fans are the ones that keep those major league managers and owners, abound. I love the new format. I think it's great. And I think that basically it gives an opportunity. It's just like our FM team here. If it wasn't for COVID, they never would have gotten into the playoffs, and yet Fayetteville Manlius winds up getting into the playoffs because of COVID, and they ordered a state final. So that's a Cinderella story. It really is. But I think it's the same thing with Major League Baseball. I mean, some of these teams who busted their fannies all year long, who are good teams, they deserve to be there and never got the opportunity in the past. And this is going to give them a better opportunity for their own city. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we look. And now we have an expanded format. We have 12 teams instead of 10. Yes. So more than a third of baseball is going to make the postseason. Your thoughts on not having, if after 162 games, two teams are tied for a spot, there's no 163rd single game elimination. It now goes to head-to-head record. So your thoughts on that side of things, that there's no 163rd game, there's no wild card game, it's a wild card series. Is it better for baseball that a single game, 163rd game, as well as a one wild card game, that we're not put in a situation where there is one game to decide who makes the postseason, be it the 163rd or the wild card game itself, now that there's a series? Are you more of a fan of that, or did you like single elimination?
Well, geez, I'm a fan of the best teams getting in there, and without cheating. I would say on a tie situation, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the Astros have the edge over the Yankees on head-to-head competition. So that would mean, correct me if I'm wrong, right. If it came down to a game, would it mean that the Yankees would obviously not going to have home field help in this situation or advantage? But if it came down to one game and it was a tie situation, I would still would like to see the one game playoff. I remember the one game playoff with Boston and New York. It's good for the game. It really is.
Yeah.
But, what can you say about those things? They bust their fannies. Every team deserves to beat it, but this playoff format certainly gives everybody an opportunity to play and get their shot. But again, when the Yankees play Houston, they keep on losing games to Houston, and they, this just are not as Papa Joe said. It's not a good situation for the Yankees if they continue to lose games.
Plain and simple, we're talking about the Astros. If you get caught cheating and it's been brought up and the Major League Baseball front office had to deal with this, does it not make sense to just take the World Series from them, to say, well, you cheated, we caught you, but keep your trophy? I'm confused by the reality of, if you cheat on a paper in school, they rip up your paper, they give you a 0. So should the Astros still be able to call themselves champions after cheating was exposed?
No, they should have. It was a slap a slap on the hand is all it was. Okay, so the owner got slapped with a fine. Cora and the head manager there, they got suspended for a year. All right, so they're back and managing, but you got Altuve and these guys that actually pulled off the stunt. And went through with it. These players got nothing. They should have been suspended for a year. If you're going to do things to Rose, and you're going to do things to Schuler's Joe, and you're going to do things, if you're going to do things in baseball, steroids, talking about the record and Maris's record versus Sosa and versus Bond. I mean, come on, Maris did it clean, okay. As far as I know, and I just don't. You can put asterisks next to their numbers or whatever you do, but Major League Baseball was wrong, totally wrong. They did not penalize the teams the way they did. They were allowed to. That's just going to be a tarnish. A lot of people, and I'm sure you talked to Joe about this, a lot of people have turned away from baseball and just hooked up with football or hooked up with lacrosse. That's what's hurt our sport. All these things that have happened have hurt the sport of baseball. Joe keeps on saying, well, Uncle Joe, it's not, baseball's not number one anymore, football. I said, well, reasonably so. It's a national pastime, but yet, people have turned cold over these last few years on what's gone on in MLB.
Yeah, and so I guess a final point here is what can bring us back? What can bring baseball back to a place of good footing, and how can it connect to a generation that didn't grow up really as connected to it? So how do we bring baseball back in front of people and help baseball move forward?
Well, that's a tough question, but I think that one of the things is, that's a tough question to answer. I always feel that the best way to promote baseball is to do exactly what you said earlier in your show about getting to the minor leagues and Papa Joe, getting to the minor leagues, supporting baseball. But Major League Baseball and the owners and the players, and it'll never, like I said a few minutes ago, it'll never change because the player associations got so big. They got to stop this money thing, this greed thing, and how do you stop that? I mean, you can't anymore. There's, how does an owner? Well, one of the ways I thought with Wilpon would be to get some tickets out to the little leagues and allow the teams and the players and the coaches to come to the ballpark. That's one good way. Now that I think about it, that would be a great thing to do. Even here with the Syracuse Mets, little leagues want to come in, let the little leagues come in, fill the stadium. I think that's one way that you can promote the sport, But, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford to go to games anymore, even if it's a AAA game or a single A. I used to love going out to Falcon Park. I still talk with friends today. They just love going to Falcon Park and watching the rookie ball. And the reason why they do is because, as they all say, they love watching those young kids hustle and bust their fannies because they know that their next level is AA, maybe AAA. That's what it's all about, and that's what the Yankees need now. They need a shot in the arm. They brought up two young kids. They need a shot in the arm because in the past, when the Yankees were having problems, the young players came up and did a great job keeping that team afloat over the last couple of years. So I think the owners, like I say, why not? Why not dollar tickets or $5 tickets or whatever? Make it take advantage of a situation where you want to bring some families and people into the ballpark. Family friendly. That's what it's got to happen. That's what's got to happen to bring the love back.
Yeah, I looked at PJ and I did it when we were talking to Pete while everybody was trying to figure things out, and the players and the owners were going back and forth, I looked at the price of a family of 4 to go average ticket, and some of these ballparks, it's almost $400 for a family of 4 to go one time, and that's like a hot dog and a soda and parking and whatever, and that doesn't include travel, it doesn't include a hotel. And so, I mean, you look at things like that, you look at some of these places, what they charge for a beer or for a hot dog. I looked at the highest price point in certain places. I want to shout out my Diamondbacks because I think they had like the cheapest. I think they were the cheapest to go to for a family of 4. It's like you could do it for like $195 or something like that.
No kidding.
But yeah, I mean, making it more affordable. I love that, and
the idea that what they got going to Syracuse Mets Thursdays, like I said, Jason and I were there the day that was the night you were there, and it makes it available to all of us. I had vouchers to go to the game because I paid for vouchers earlier in the year, Jason and I went down to watch Keith Hernandez get his award. And his number retired a couple weeks back. And that trip alone cost Jason and I, between the tickets and hotel and food and gas, close to $800-900. Very easily. So then just for 2 of us. So I think that if they can, of course, everybody's worried about, we got to make up our losses from COVID. Well, guess what? You're going to do it to the extent of harming the ability of the average family to go to a ball game. Then you better start thinking twice about what you want to do for the love of the game. That's what I think the owners should be thinking about. I know that the Wilpons were family people. They and talking to Fred and Jeff, they love to do what they could for local talent, for local people. And I think what's been lost here, and I see with the Yankees, with Hale Steinbrenner, of course, Cashman makes all the decisions, but the amount of money that they're spending there is, on these players, obviously, with the luxury tax, that's a tough nut to crack. But I heard, and I had seen somewheres that George Steinbrenner could have paid his players back then on concessions alone.
Yeah. 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 Well, and I think it was funny too that, during really in the beginning of COVID, and the owners are sitting there in 2020 saying, well, you want us to pay you all this money and we want to prorate it and we don't want to pay you for every game because we're going to play an abbreviated season and yada, yada, yada. And the players are turning around going, well, we want our money. And the owners are like, well, we're not going to make it back because we don't have concessions and nobody's going to come here and we don't have parking. And then they turn around with Fernando Tatis and they pay him over $300 million. And I said, probably not a good time to be signing these $300 and $400 million contracts when you're telling the players you have no money. So, it was this irony of saying, we have no way of making the money back. We're paying the players and boohoo us, these these millionaires and these billionaires of these owners. But then they turn around and they're signing these balloon contracts in the middle of COVID while they're complaining that they're bleeding money. So, it's just like, it's like those people that, and I don't anymore, but one of the guys I went to lunch with, where he said, can somebody cover my portion today? And he pulls out a wad of cash with a bunch of hundreds and 50s. And I said, why are you not paying? There's 3 of us. Why aren't you paying for lunch? He goes, I don't want to break any of these. I was like, so you got all the money, you got $1,000 in your pocket, but you want somebody to cover your $10 burger because you don't want to break a 50? I mean, that there is the theory that some rich people stay rich because they're stingy. So, I find it very funny that
Danny, look at Stanton. Stanton's making $600,000 a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's unimaginable. I just don't I don't get it. You have to sit there for an Achilles or this or that. You know, like I said earlier, Mantle played through so many injuries. You've seen his book. I'm sure you read it. You know, I mean, these guys, it's just not the same anymore. It's not the same anymore. Judge is now worrying about, you know, after arbitration, what's going to happen next year. Well, I have a funny feeling that maybe Cohen might be. We know that Cohen's interested in having him over at Citi Field.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, too, I don't understand is how Aaron Judge is on a one-year deal and the Yankees are having the season they're having, albeit some struggle recently, and you're not locking him up. And the closer you get to the postseason and the closer you get to a potential World Series, he's only going to cost you more money. So,
right.
You know, why? And let's be real about this. Yankees fans that lost interest came back because of Aaron Judge. People that weren't fans of baseball came in because of Aaron Judge. People that are Yankees fans today that weren't Yankees fans a couple of years ago are fans because of Aaron Judge. So why would you take your franchise face right now and not pay the guy and take care of him? And it's crazy because George Steinbrenner was notorious for paying a lot of money for players, and there was nothing you could write on a check that he would scoff at. And now without Mr. Steinbrenner being here on this planet with us, it seems like the Yankees have kind of lost that blank check mentality where when it comes to Aaron Judge, you need to sign that check and let him write the number.
That's right. Yeah, it's keeping the interest, like you say, it's keeping the interest of the game intact. This home run contest that's going on right now. Between comparing Maris's number at this time to Judge and comparing all the other home run leaders. It's just there's so much at stake here, no question about it.
Yeah, coming from Joe Antonio. Joe, we had some bonus time here with you today and went beyond our 11 o'clock because, well, I'm the owner and I can do what I want. So I definitely appreciate having Joe Antonio, OCC Lazers baseball head coach for 23 years. This year, OCC named the home baseball dugout after Joe Antonio for all the work that he put forward. Joe, this conversation, I feel like this is exactly what I want Wake Up Call to be. I feel like we're sitting on a couch somewhere, just sitting and talking and having a great conversation about things. And I feel like everybody listening sitting on the couch with us. So I honestly, so comfortable and just flowing here today. I don't know how to end it because I don't want to, but I definitely would love to have you back on soon. And
absolutely,
I got a couple ideas for you.
Thank you, Danny, for letting me be a part of your show. And we'll have to get your mom in there and do a three-way show maybe.
And mom says hello, by the way. She sends her love. So
love to her too, for sure.
Well, Joe, thank you for all that you've done for our community, and thanks for coming on today. And I look forward to talking with you very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you again, Danny.
All right, take care, Joe.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye now.
See you. That coming from Joe Antonio one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we're speechless, right? Just a great conversation with this wonderful, wonderful person in our community. So I feel exactly how I want to feel and what I have in my office. I have a leather couch in my office, and I'm looking, so my studio office are connected to each other. I'm looking at the couch right now, and I'm saying to myself, this is Wake Up Call. This is Wake Up Call. What we just had, Joe and I sitting on the leather couch, just talking and repping about baseball, past, present, future, life, the community. So many places we went to and so many places we can and we will go by the grace of God. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for our final fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. We'll wrap things up in today's special, A Couple of Joes, and inside this Cafe Kubal studio with a cup of Joe. We'll be back right after this, where sports meets life, to get you ready for this coming Friday.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Syracuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
Hey everyone, it's Sydney from iDrive in Orlando. We can't wait to welcome Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on site at 8801 International Drive in Orlando. Broadcasting live Monday, August 22nd through Friday, August 26th during our lunch each day from noon to 2 p.m. Come see us girls, hear from Dan and his special guests, and preview the college and NFL seasons from the greatest seat for all sporting events. Hooters iDrive in Orlando.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. Make sure that you make a note here, folks. College and pro football preview week we're going to have from Hooters iDrive in Orlando. That is on 8801 International Drive in Orlando, Florida, this Monday, August 22nd through Friday, August 26th, my grandfather's birthday. So big shout out to Hooters. Come and see us live on site on location from noon to 2 p.m. For those of you that are watching and listening all over the world, including in central and upstate New York, make sure that you make a note for yourself that next week only we will change our 9 to 11 broadcast time from 12 to 2. That's because we're going to be at Hooters for their entire lunch time. So those entire 2 hours of a lunch break, we're going to be there at Hooters. So we're changing the time for next week so we could be with you on lunch at Hooters. College and pro football preview week from Hooters iDrive in Orlando. Myself and my guests have all been named. They're going to be added to Facebook. We're making those announcements, made those announcements earlier this week. Monday, August 22nd through Friday, August 26th, live on site, on location at Hooters iDrive in Orlando, 8801 International Drive. We will see you there from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and we'll see you online for those of you that will be watching and listening. So if you're down in Orlando or if you're in the Florida area, make the trip out to see us. Don't miss the opportunity to see incredible guests, the Hooters girls, and of course, to hang out with me for a little bit and show some love. So we want to see all the fans out there for college and pro football preview week. We are literally bringing you into the college and pro football season. When we do our last broadcast of the week on Friday, August 26th, the first college football game of the season is Saturday, August 27th. So we're literally leading you all the way up into the doorstep of college football and pro football while we're broadcasting that week on Thursday. I think it's Thursday and Friday, and Saturday and Sunday are the final preseason games that will lead us into the season. So we're bringing you into the NFL, bringing you into college football. You don't want to miss the event. Odyssey Jones, a.k.a. Amari Palmer, is going to be there on Monday, August 22nd. On Tuesday, August 23rd, we will have Aaron Hackett. Wednesday, August 24th, AJ Francis, a.k.a. Top Dollar from the WWE, who also played for Maryland football defensive line and went on to play in the NFL for a bunch of teams, including the Miami Dolphins, down in the great state of Florida. Thursday, my guy Jason Lucas, who has been in numerous front offices of professional teams, as well as been on the media side of things. He'll join me again. He's a big-time UCF fan, so I want to see my Knights. We're going to be in Orlando, where UCF is based, with Jason Lucas, who is a torchbearer for UCF. I better see some UCF black and gold inside of Hooters on Thursday, August 25th. And on Friday, August 26th, we'll round out the show with one of the best kickers to ever have his toe touch that football, and that is Mr. Nate Trout, who lives down in Florida and pays it forward by training the future specialists of the college football and professional world, including Brady Denneberg from Merritt Island, who's now with Syracuse, just like Nate Trout came off to Syracuse. So Nate Trout will be rounding out the week on Friday, August 26th, down at Hooters. So definitely make sure you come out and hang out with us at Hooters iDrive in Orlando. With that being said, I want to give a special thanks to all of you that are watching and listening all over the world, Central and Upstate New York, our second homes of the great state of Florida and the great state of Pennsylvania. So big shout out to those wonderful places, as well as the Midwest, the South, the Midwest, everywhere around the country, the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, North, South, wherever you are, down in Hawaii, up in Alaska. We appreciate you. Everybody that's watching and listening all over the world, we send you our love on youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com, all /Wake Up Call DT, as well as on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and on facebook.com /LiveNowDT. So make sure you check us out there. And of course, once the shows go live, you could jump into the archives and hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcast, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do on any one of these is go to one of these outlets and type in Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So definitely make sure you come and check us out there, and I appreciate you for going out and bookmarking and saving us for everybody that has. A big time shout out to all of our Central and Upstate New York partners that you can check out here in our community and beyond: Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Victory Sports Medicine Orthopedics, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, and Mother's Cupboard in Syracuse, New York on James Street. Of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is fins up all day, day with the Lemoyne Dolphins. They are here with us for Dolphin Dive every single week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Don't miss a moment of the Dolphin Dive. Dolphin Dive and as well as AD&DT. Dolphin Time happens Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time every first and third Wednesday. You have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you have the Dolphin Dive, where we dive into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, as well as future Dolphins and alumni. You can check out all of our Dolphin content from all of our specials that we have had with Lemoyne by going to the Lemoyne tab of wakeupcalldt.com. Bookmark it, save it, and keep it. Subscribe to wakeupcalldt.com so you don't miss anything. And of course, you can also subscribe to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt as we head toward 500 subscribers, which, folks, is almost 5 times what we had when we started pushing everything over onto YouTube. So a big time thanks to all of you for that. You can also get more information on your Dolphins by going to LeMoyneDolphins.com. The Marywood University Pacers are proud multimedia marketing partners exclusively of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as well. Pacer Pride comes to you every single Friday. You can check out your Pacers on Fridays, and I implore you to do so. Check out your Pacers around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time every single week as we support the Marywood University Pacer Pride student athletes, coaches, and administration. You can get all of our Marywood content by going to the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com, and of course subscribing to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Pacers coming up this week, and Pacers all throughout the year. Show your love for Marywood, 2 hours south, almost in a straight line from Syracuse. If you're looking for a great home, make sure you give Marywood University a call, and you can get more information at marywoodpacers.com. You hear that buzz? I hear that buzz. Not because there's like a billion bees in central and upstate New York, because there are, but because the Bobcat buzz comes to you every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring your Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse Bobcats. The Bobcats are the newest exclusive multimedia marketing partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We love our Bobcats, love them here in the community. We have done exclusive content for you all throughout our community, from on campus on James Street at Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse. We've done it from Mother's Cupboard on 3709 James Street in Syracuse. We have also done it at PB&J's Lunchbox, which you can get on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. We have had them out at Cafe Kubal on 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse and 324 West Water Street in Syracuse. All of our content, student athletes, administration, and coaches with the Bryant and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Get all the content by going to the BSC SYR tab on wakeupcalldt.com, as well as by subscribing to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Bobcats, you know where to go. Go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, I want to thank my couple of Joes for being here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios for a cup of Joe. Papa Joe in Hour 1, Joe Antonio in Hour 2, and some bonus coverage with Joe Antonio as well. God bless to both of these fantastic gentlemen and their families. God bless to your family and all of your loved ones as well. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. Remember to support Central New York and support local. Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street in Syracuse, 343 Fayette Street in Manlius in their double-decker cafe, and in their drive-thru on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners. Make sure you check them out in North Syracuse and fill your cup up right today. Perfectly giving us the cup of Joe with a couple of Joes on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. One of my favorite broadcasts that we've done in a long time, but I love them all. But this one's just a very special couple of Joes that I appreciate. So thanks to Papa Joe, thanks to Joe Antonio. Thank you to you, two Joes that have a connection back to Central and Upstate New York where they got things started. So God bless you, gentlemen. God bless you all out there. And